Hi there. 1 million years, as in never in 1 million years would I have believed that I'd be conducting a head-to-head between Godzilla and a Camaro. This is the manliest thing I've ever done in my life. I still remember the first time I ever drove a Nissan GTR. I was up above the hills in Los Angeles. I ran into a pack of 3 Ferraris, a Dodge Viper, and an M6. This thing not only hung with them, it outran them. I also very clearly remember the first time I drove a new 5th gen Camaro. I drove it right off the track at Streets of Willow in turn 3. To be honest, that car sucked. However, through the years, the Camaro's been getting better and better. First came the ZL1, which really was a Cadillac CTS-V crammed up inside a Camaro body. That was pretty good. Then came the 1LE, and that is one of the best handling track cars I've ever driven. Today, I'm standing in front of the Z28, and this is about as hardcore as Camaros get. Under the hood, hand-built LS7, 7-liter Corvette motor that you found in the old Z06. It's got something called spool valve suspension that you'll find on F1 cars and the Aston Martin 177. Seats are by Recaro, tires are Pirelli Trofeo Rs, and most importantly, these mammoth carbon ceramic Brembo brakes are the same ones you're gonna find in the upcoming Z06. Oh yeah, and the Nissan, well, it's a GTR and it's faster than whatever you drive. Which one of these two is better? That's what we're gonna find out. When I first saw the Camaro Z28 at last year's New York Auto Show, the standout feature was the fact that all but one speaker had been removed. Why just one? Because legally it has to be there for the seatbelt and your doors ajar chimes. That, my friends, is the definition of hardcore. Here I am somewhere deep in Alabama on this slice of heaven road, rocking along in the Z28, and what a beast of a car this thing is. What an epic machine this thing is. You just have grip for days, especially once you get these tires heated up. The transmission is wonderful. It's a 6-speed manual, but it's just love shifting. It just feels real solid, real good. Steering is fantastic. Not a lot of understeer, almost no understeer. You gotta check out the bow tie in the grill. One of the engineers realized that the bow tie was actually blocking the airflow. So what he did was he got out a Dremel tool and hollowed it out, and that sucks in an additional 250 cubic whatevers of air a second. I mean, it's incredible. This thing makes 150 pounds of downforce at 150 miles an hour. And again, it's a Camaro. I mean, this thing started life as like, you know, a sedan in a costume, and they've just made this monster out of it. And the brakes on this car, unbelievable, massive 14-inch carbon ceramic brakes at all 4 corners. Fronts are a little bit bigger, like a couple millimeters. And I'll let you in on a little secret. These are the exact same brakes that are going to be found on the new Corvette Z06. In fact, that's how they got to be standard equipment on this car, is that Camaro and Corvette, they co-developed the brakes together. You know, Chevy, they're not protecting the Corvette. There's always people talk, you know, Porsche protects the Cayman, right? You know, they don't want to give it too much power because then it'll be better than a 911 or something like that. General Motors just doesn't care. Fine, make the Camaro as good as you want to be. That's Corvette's problem. And man, the results are outstanding. I mean, this is such a driver's car. And I can't believe I'm saying that about a Camaro. The only problem is that red car is a hell of a driver's car too. The GTR remains a monster. It's still one of the quickest point-to-point cars on the planet. Lots of people will utter silly stuff like, the car has no soul, or that the computers are doing all the driving for you. Nonsense. Sheer and utter nonsense. Especially when you switch said computers off. Woo! This thing cooks. This car just rockets. Just rockets. I mean, it's a missile. Every time you climb into one of these things, you just remember that very, very few cars on Earth that can pulverize a road the way a GTR can. One of the things it's so good at is transitions. The way if you are horked over left, you can quickly come back to the right. It's almost seamless, and it's part of the insanely stiff ride. What a GTR can do that very few other things on Earth can do is just claw their way out of a corner. The Camaro has tremendous grip, doesn't like to understeer. This thing will understeer a little bit. Brakes. These are good brakes. I used to think they were great brakes. After driving the Camaro, I no longer think these are great brakes. That Z28, those brakes are just phenomenal. It really does come down to the pedal feel. That Camaro, I mean, you're right on top of the pedal, push back, it's real meaty. This, the first, I don't know, eighth of an inch of travel or so, not much is happening. You really got to get into it. So, just for aggressive driving, I really prefer the brakes of the Camaro. I don't know on this back road if we were at a time when I bet the GTR would clip the Camaro. I think I like driving the Camaro more. It's more fun, it's more visceral, manlier, whatever that means. But just in terms of getting from A to B quicker, that might go to the GTR. Just a rocket. And I know there's one place where the GTR is going to be a lot quicker, and that's on a drag strip. Z28's big V8, rear-wheel drive traction, and relatively slow-shifting 6-speed manual were no match whatsoever for the GTR's twin-turbo V6, all-wheel drive stickum, and gunshot-quick dual-clutch transmission. 2.7 seconds to 60 makes it the fourth quickest car we've ever tested, behind the Bugatti Veyron, McLaren P1, and the Porsche 911 Turbo S. Both numbers are world-class, though the Z28's standard carbon ceramic stoppers mean that short stops will be more repeatable. All right, so that's in a straight line. Yeah, Godzilla wins. But we knew that, all-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive. This is the GTR Track Edition. Z28 was developed on the Nürburgring to be the ultimate track expression of a Camaro. So, with that in mind, we're heading to a very cool racetrack, the Barber Motorsports Park, where I'm going to meet up with my good friend Randy Popst, and we're going to see what's what.
Here we are, Nissan GTR track, Barber Motorsports Park, on a gray morning. Conditions are ideal for the all-wheel drive of the GTR. It's slimy, rained last night, let up, and the track's only about half dry. Boiling down into turn 1, the GTR's got a well-balanced feel. Turn 2, 3, see this wheel? That's understeer, folks. It has less understeer under power, but I'm confident to keep the throttle down as we go over the crest in turn 4. There you go, I can move the tail in second gear with a smile on the face. This transmission is just so easy to drive on this car. but it does remove an element of driving. It's less involving than the Z28. Come on, get in the corner. See that? Z28 turns in much better. I'm waiting on that understeer. I can't go to power because the car's not turning. Braking is strong. I don't think I have the grip that the Z28 does, but the grip I have is easier to use. Coming into a fast-ass downhill entry here at Barber, real tricky, and I really appreciate the stability of the GTR under these conditions. Up over the hill, flat on the throttle, I know it's not going to suddenly snap loose. I think the GTR is making a lot of speed here. It's an easier car to drive fast than the Z28. And this car is well tied down. It's not harsh, it just feels right, and it just goes. Yeah, babe. Just touching 120 on the front straight. As I throw the car down into turn one, there's a lot of shock damping. I like it. Nissan GTR was good with shock damping too. Camaro really turns in. That's part of the reason why they went to the Torsen differential. The Torsen type differential does not hook up on deceleration, and that makes it easier to get a car into the corners. The Torsen is very effective on putting power down on the way off the corner. I'll tell you what, these carbon ceramic brakes have a lot of bite, more than the Nissan GTR, and I'm not feeling any fade. The aggressive dampening makes the Z28 a pleasure in transitions. There's no flop. This body is controlled. These Pirelli Trofeo R tires feel a lot like slicks to me. The grip is tremendous. The Z28 just has a glorious V8 rumble. Listen to that. I love that sound. And shifting the gears, it just makes me feel like I'm more involved in driving the car. The advantage I see to the GTR is its predictability and its all-wheel drive traction. The advantage I see in the Z28 is the enjoyment of the driving experience and some terrific Pirelli Trofeo R tires. They are very sticky. There's no question that the Z28 is a more involving driver's car. It sounds better, feels better, you're actually shifting gears. It's more fun out here on the Barber Motorsports track. I'm not sure which one is faster.
We caught the tail end of the wet and freezing polar vortex down in Alabama. We thought we were hosed. Then, around 11 a.m., fate smiled upon us with some sunshine, and once the track was dry, it was time for Randy to set some fast laps. Time is a cruel mistress. When the R35 GTR first stepped on the scene, it was a game changer. No car that costs so little could whoop so much ass on cars costing so much more. Back in 2009, we handed it the highest honor we have, naming it the Motor Trend Car of the Year. And true, in a straight line, the GTR is still only bested by a handful of supercars, all of them costing scads more. But on a racetrack, the place that some will argue actually matters most, the GTR got beaten by the less expensive Camaro Z28. More importantly, both Randy and I like the Camaro better out on a good winding road. I'm almost tempted to say that the Camaro Z28 doesn't cost enough. Regardless, and frankly, I'm amazed, but the winner of this here head-to-head is the Chevrolet Camaro Z28. It's simply that damn good. Never in 1 million years.